Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to talk start collecting Warhammer 40,000, and today we're going to take a look at the combat patrol for the Astra Militarum. Now in this video, we're going to go through the contents of the box set, how we can build up these different units, and what we can use them for on the tabletop, along with a brief little look at what they provide us with rules-wise on the tabletop as well. We'll then take a look at a couple of other units we can use to expand upon this initial box set, and then finally finish off the video with a little sample army list of 1,000 points for you to use, hopefully as some inspiration and ideas for creating your own Astra Militarum army using the Combat Patrol box set as its core for Warhammer 40,000 10th edition. And so, to begin with, first of all, this particular box set is led by Cadian Command Squad. The Astra Militarum are really interesting in that they have many different HQ options that are effectively these Command Squad style structures. There is a character within this, and in this case, that will be the Cadian Commander, who you can see front and center of the picture, but he's joined by all his aides, and they make up a generic single HQ unit. Now, this can still be attached to other units. In fact, you can attach them to Cadian Shock Troops, which is really cool. And Cadian Shock Troops as well can have a variety of different models join them, and can in fact have two different officer type models join them as well. The command squad, as I said, is full of different aids, so this is really cool. What you can do is you can provide a couple of different extra models in there. You have your Master of Vox, where each time the officer in the bearer's unit issues an order, it can issue them to an eligible unit 24 inch away, so extending the reach of there. Your Medipack gives you a Feel No Pain of 6+ in the unit, and your Regimental Standard will increase the objective control of the unit it's attached to by 1. This is all a nice variety. You've also got access to a couple of different special weapons in the unit as well, which is really nice. This is just going to allow you to have a few extra attacks in there, and a few extra attacks of meaning, so you can take like plasma guns and melty guns, etc. for the unit. But other than that, you've got your Cadian Shock Troops. Now these are pretty much your standard sort of units, a little bit better, because you do have a couple of different infantry style units. You've got your infantry platoons, and then you have your Cadian Shock Troops as well. Now the Cadian Shock Troops have a little bit on top of what you would expect from your basic sort of infantry squad. The infantry squad can choose to take, heavy weapons and stuff like that, and you lose out on that when you're taking Cadian Shock Troops, but they do gain some cool rules for it instead. And so you've got the Shock Troops ability, where at the end of your command phase, if this unit's within range of an objective marker you control, it will remain under your control until your opponent takes it off you. This is really good, commonly known as something called sticky objectives in the community. This means, once you control objectives, you can freely move off them, and this is really great for your force, allowing you to keep moving across the table and play the movement game while also playing the objective control game. Now you can take a couple of different special weapons in the unit, and this can be anything from flamers, melty guns, plasma guns, and grenade launchers as well, which are a good sort of come-on-all-comers sort of weapon. You got the ability to take a Voxcaster in there as well, where each time the bearer's unit is targeted with a stratagem, you get to roll a d6 and add one if an officer model is within 6 inches of them. For each 5+ you roll, you actually get the CP back, so you can have a nice lot of refunded CP on these units as well. Moving on, we then have an armoured sentinel in this, and this is a small armed sort of walker, toughness 8, 7 wounds, nothing too great there, but it does have the mobile hunter-killers rule, where each time a model in this unit makes an attack that targets a monster or vehicle, you can re-roll the wound rolls. So while they may not be, necessarily tough vehicles themselves, they actually got some cool abilities to help them take out larger stuff on the enemy. This is backed up by the fact they've got a variety of different heavy weapon options to them. You can take auto cannons, heavy flamers, lash cannons, missile launchers, and plasma cannons, the latter sort of lot, all there, really good at taking out different vehicles and monsters of varying size. But you can also equip them with sentinel chainsaws, which will give them a nice strength 6 -1 AP in close combat. And you can also have hunter-killer missiles, which are a once per game weapon, but is a 48-inch range, 1 attack, strength 14, 4+ to hit, -3 AP, damage d6. So a cool little once per game missile launcher shot, that's pretty cool. Now lastly, we do have two ordnance teams, which are known as the ordnance artillery batteries. These are going to provide you with a variety of different heavy weapons. For me, I do like the fact that these have access to the bombast field guns, which are an indirect firing unit, meaning they don't need line of sight to fire. D6 shots, ballistic skill 5+, strength 7, -1 AP, damage 2 is pretty cool for them, but they do have a variety of other weapon options they can take as well in missile launchers and indeed heavy las cannons. Today's video is brought to you by Gap Games, a fantastic retailer in Australia for a variety of different miniature war games. If you'd like to help support the channel, we have an affiliate link where by clicking on and purchasing, you'll help support the channel, but you'll also help support Gap Games, which is a fantastic servant to the community. And so, where do we begin to look to next? And the first thing the Astra Militarum really have in strength is their armor. So we're going to look at a couple of different vehicles giving us some good utility to our force. And the first of these is the Leman Russ demolisher. Now the demolisher battle cannon is an amazing weapon. D6 +3 attacks at a 24-inch range, 4+ to hit, but it is strength 14, -3 AP and damage D6. So this thing, you know, when it rolls well, or even when it rolls subpar, the fact that it's going to always have 4 shots is nice. But you know, if you can get a decent roll in those D6, if you can get like 6 shots and do on the average sort of damage from that, which will be 3 to 4 points of damage, you know, 6 times 4, 24 damage, this thing can be quite nasty. Now, you do have the ability to equip it with a couple of different weapons. It's got a hull-mounted weapon that can be another las cannon to help with that anti-tank. You can also stick multi-melters on the side of it, as you see pictured here. And you can also have a heavy stub or a storm bolter on the top as well. You know, not much to help with the anti-tank, but it's a free option now with the new waypoints at work, so why would you not? You can also, like most of your vehicles in the Astra Militarum, get that hunter-killer missile for that once per game missile launcher shot. Now, the line breaker rule is the special thing about this, and what it does when making ranged attacks with its demolisher battle cannon. This model can target enemy units that are within engagement range of it, provided no other friendly units are also within engagement range. And in addition, when making ranged attack, this model does not suffer the penalty to its to hit rolls for being within engagement range, as it's, you know, sort of this line clearer. So get too close to this tank, it will still blow you up in close combat. Now, the Hellhound is the other tank I want to talk about. This is definitely a lighter tank for the force, toughness 10 and 11 wounds, but it does provide something that I think is nice. This will provide you with a cool anti-infantry tank, and indeed something that can actually help take out some of the more stronger infantry in the game. It is only damage 1 on its Inferno cannon, but it does ignore cover and have torrent with 2 D6 shots. Strength 6 -2 AP, damage 1 is a decent enough profile, but there are other weapons you can choose to upgrade. The chem cannon is particularly interesting for D6 +1 shots with the anti-infantry 2+ rule, and the melter cannon is there as well for D3 shots, but you will be strength 9 with the melter 4 rule. Now, like a lot of the other Imperial Guard tanks, you take the hunter-killer missile. You can also have a nice hull-mounted weapon on it as well, which could be either a heavy bolter or multi-melter. And so, with the army, we definitely do lack a bit of close combat punch. The army we've got definitely has a nice lot of range in varying different forms of anti-armor and anti-infantry, but I think we need that combat unit, and for me, that is Bullgryns. Now, they will be generally, for me, fighting for a spot comparing with something like Attilan Rough Riders, but Attilan Rough Riders are a much more offensive unit, while the Bullgryns are something that are definitely going to be more beta strike-like, being able to sit in our lines and come and deal with threats that come to us, which is probably more what we want to do with the Astra Militarum. Now, the Bullgryns do have 2 different weapon options. You've either got the Bullgryn Mauls, which is my preferred method of punishment. These will be strength 7, -1 AP and damage 2. Or you've got the Grenadier Gauntlet, which will give you a blast shooting weapon at D6 shots, ballistic 4+, strength 4, no AP and damage 1. But you also get the close combat weapon, but you will lose a point of damage, you'll lose your AP and drop to strength 6. For me, it is always that extra AP. The 2 damage is nice, can really help counter Space Marines coming into your lines, and strength 7 is pretty decent for a close combat attack. Now, you do have Feel No Pain 6+ as a standard rule on them. You've also got the option of 2 different types of shields, either the Slab Shield, increasing their wounds to 4 each, or my preferred option, the Brute Shield, giving you a 4-up invulnerable save. Wall of Muscle means each time an attack as well is allocated to a model in this unit, you subtract 1 from the damage to a minimum of 1. Lastly, we have the heavy weapons squad. When you're sort of filling in your army, you will have those spare few points, and I think heavy weapons squads at 60 points are a really nice thing to fill in. You can take a variety of different heavy weapons, but I really do like the mortars. I think the mortars provide us with some nice anti-infantry, are great with their direct fire rule, which will allow you to shoot things outside of line of sight. This is particularly good for helping you get rid of enemy infantry that's potentially camping on objectives you might not be able to see. The mortars themselves will have D6 shots, ballistic skill 5+, which isn't great, but strength 5, no AP, damage 1 means you are going to, on most infantry, get through quite a few wounds when you do hit. And so here we have our sample army list for the Astra Militarum. Now we've gone for the combined regiment, which is the detachment we've got access to at the moment in the game, but Cadian Command Squad will be our only unit available for the army. We've got the Cadian Commander in there with power weapon and plasma pistol, because why not? And then we have 4 Cadian veteran guardsmen joining him. One of them has a multi-gun. I think this is just going to help give us a little bit of anti-monster, anti-armor in putting into our lines, in addition with the Cadian shock troops we'll talk about in just a second. But we then got the Master Vox Medipack and Regimental Standard all in the unit as well. Cadian shock troops, we've got 2 units of these. These are going to be identical. The shock trooper sergeants will have bolt pistols and chainswords, and then we have a melting gun and grenade launcher combo inside the unit. For me, the melting gun is probably my weapon of choice with these, as you've got plenty of shots coming out of the unit already with their base sort of weaponry. The grenade launcher, as well, is a utility piece in the force, can either be used to help clear out the hordes or do a little bit of extra anti-armor work if really needed. For other infantry, we've got a heavy weapons squad with those mortars. As I mentioned, I think these are just great for clearing out backfield objective holders or our opponent. We've then got Bullgryns in there with Bullgryn Mauls and Brute Shields, so the 4-up invuln and the close combat damage. And then 2 field ordnance batteries as well with bombast field guns, which are really going to help. Once again, with the heavy weapons squad, this is going to be threatening our opponent's backfield objectives, so we're going to force our opponents to have to come towards us. But that is going to be, dangerous, because then there'll be drawing line of our armored sentinels with las cannons, sentinel chainswords, and hunter killer missiles. Our Hellhound as well with the inferno cannon, heavy flamer, and hunter killer missile, and the Leman russ demolisher there with the demolisher battle cannon, las cannon, 2 multi-motors as its sponsors, a heavy stubber, and hunter killer missile. This rounds out our force at a perfect 1,000 points, and if you've got any ideas on how to use this particular box set and expand on it for the Astra Militarum, let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And so that is the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to come chat more with me, we have a Discord server for the channel, and that is linked down in the video's description. Also linked down in the video's description are the best ways to help support the channel. This is either via Patreon or YouTube members using one of our affiliate links and codes down there, like Baron of Dice, Gap Games, or Mithras Games, or by supporting us directly on Patreon or YouTube members. If you'd like to do any of those, we have links for that all in the description, and as a special thank you to our Patrons and YouTube members, we'd like to give them all a shout out. So thank you to our Patreons: Soren, Kenny Lowell, Alderin Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Q Dynamic, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Benjamin Swallows, Red Martin, Iron Grinch, Colorblind Magic, Grimscold, and Andy C, and our YouTube members: Greenridge Gaming, Ronya, Lock Lorick, The Johnny84, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Revenar, Pink Nico Fire, Robin Mankiller, Monty's Tabletop Terrain, James Tillman, Disco, and John Castle. Lastly, a special thanks to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you see on the channel. Once again, everyone, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.